I am extremely bullish when it comes to HBAR as of right now, and $3, that's still my price target, even though I am not a financial advisor. But the way to take a look at it is that HBAR, historically speaking, has been proven to go along with the market when it does do pretty good. Like, for instance, not too long ago, we saw HBAR do very amazing when Bitcoin was around $100,000. Then, of course, Bitcoin had a pullback, went down to around $85,000. Things weren't looking that good for many altcoins out there. Of course, HBAR had a pullback, but as of right now, HBAR has had a pretty decent recovery. Now, why does this excite me? Because it showcases that, first of all, the pump wasn't a fluke. It showcased that, hey, when it comes to HBAR, yes, it did good. But then once the market picks up again, hypothetically, this has been known to somewhat go along with the ride. So I think that, if anything, really proves that, hey, the community is very rock solid here. There's the attention there, and it's a proven project. Now, is HBAR going to be able to do a 100x or 200x? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think it could do that during this bull run because, of course, $3 is around a 15x from here, which I get it isn't that much according to some people, but really when you consider how much HBAR has gone up, I don't think it's that bad. Not to mention, when it comes to Hedera as a project, it really doesn't have any direct competitors, in my opinion. Like, if you think about it, I mean, of course, we have something like Solana, which many people would arguably say, oh, it's a competitor to Hedera or something, like, for instance, in the case of Avalanche or Algorand. But really, if you think about it, Hedera Hashgraph, I don't think it is actually a direct competitor, fundamentally speaking. The reason being is because, again, Hedera Hashgraph is a directed acyclic graph. It doesn't utilize blockchain. So yeah, sure, we take a look at layer one blockchains like Solana and also something like Avalanche, Algorand. I'm totally aware of the fact that some people may choose to acquire that instead of HBAR, so that may be considered as a competitor in terms of, acquisition. But again, in terms of fundamentals, Hedera sits on a league of its own. The reason why a directed acyclic graph, I think, is just much better than something like, let's say, traditional blockchain technology is because it's usually a lot faster. Like, for instance, Hedera's native services can reliably scale up to 10,000 transactions per second and even beyond. So again, not only is it very fast, but it's very scalable. Not to mention as well, we take a look at how usually a directed acyclic graph, it has improved data storage. Also on top of that, it usually consumes way less energy. Like, for instance, per transaction on average, Hedera consumes less energy, allegedly, than something like Solana. We take a look at the BNB chain. We take a look at Ethereum. I mean, there's a bunch. But I think, if anything, it showcases that, hey, there are good advantages here when it comes to this. Now, does this mean that when it comes to Hedera, it's automatically going to become the number one project of all time? No, but in my opinion, it at least showcases that, hey, there's a different approach here other than using just traditional blockchain technology. And again, I think it kind of sits on a league of its own. I think it virtually has no competitors when it comes to a fundamental standpoint of view. Now, I think something else that people often ignore when it comes to Hedera is the fact that if we take a look at it, it could maybe make a large impact in the world of AI. Now, some people may kind of say, hey, Solana could make a big difference. Avalanche, Algorand. I'm totally aware that they could make a big difference. I'm not doubting that. But when it comes to Hedera, again, just because it has naturally a lot more advantages, I just kind of feel like this could be a good place for AI projects moving forward. Now, the AI market could be massive. It's predicted to reach nearly $2 trillion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. Now, this is massive because if we take a look at the GDP of a very amazing country, in the case of Brazil, back in 2024, Brazil had a GDP of around $2 trillion. So I think that, if anything, truly puts into perspective as to just how massive the AI market could hypothetically be moving forward. And Hedera, again, I think it could make maybe a large impact within that market. We'll have to wait and see, but considering its advantages over traditional blockchain technology, I just don't see why not. Not to mention in areas such as DeFi, aka decentralized finance, or NFTs, I believe that Hedera can make a big difference too. Now, some people may argue that, hey, when it comes to the quote-unquote DeFi ecosystem of Hedera, they say it's not that good. And yeah, I would say, compared to something like Ethereum, Avalanche, Algorand, I don't think it's that good, actually. This is just my opinion. Now, the reason is because if we take a look at Hedera, now, what is a very famous decentralized exchange on Hedera? That's something called Saucer Swap. Now, that's not really going to blow anyone's hairs back because Saucer Swap is by no means a big decentralized exchange. It's fundamentally amazing. I'm bullish on it. But then it doesn't mean that it's viewed as in the same regard as like a pancake swap or like a Uniswap or like an aerodrome or something like that. It's different. So I can get the argument there, but it can't be denied that when it comes to Hedera, it at least has the hypothetical potential to support these amazing DeFi projects moving forward due to its amazing fundamental qualities. Again, it may not showcase it as of right now, but then at least it could hypothetically maybe do that due to its amazing nature, in my opinion. It's like, for instance, let's say a Ferrari is stuck in traffic. Doesn't mean that, that Ferrari can't go fast. No, it's just stuck in traffic. Now, of course, if there's 2 lanes and the Ferrari in one lane is stuck in traffic and the other one's free flowing, then of course it's going to get defeated by a Honda, right? But then if let's say there was no traffic, who would win? You know what I mean? I would arguably say, hey, you know what? It's the Ferrari. It's kind of like in this case. Hedera is stuck in traffic as of right now because I think a lot of people don't really understand just how special it is. But it's a Ferrari waiting in traffic, in my opinion, if I were to put an analogy on it. Not to mention, Hedera has a very good governing council. Let's not forget this because its governing council allegedly includes the likes of Google. We take a look at something like LG. We also take a look at Mondelez. Now, Mondelez, if you take a look at some of their, brands, we'll see it's something like Oreo and also Cliff, like, the Cliff bar. So when I take a look at something like Hedera, isn't it kind of a complete project? Do you think these large entities would kind of, be part of a governing council of a project that they think is bad? I highly doubt that. Like, I just kind of feel that, you know what? These large entities, they do their due diligence, they do their research. They're not asking their tennis coach. They're not asking people at the grocery store. They're not asking, random people or asking their neighbor what they think about Hedera. They're not doing that, right? They have a team doing their due diligence, doing their research. So when they believe in something, it gives me great confidence. I'm not going to automatically believe in everything that, a large entity believes in because sometimes they do make mistakes. It's been proven, right? Sometimes even the large entities do make mistakes, but I'm just saying, it at least gives some validation towards something like Hedera. Now, HBAR at the price of $3, let's take a look at why the market cap wouldn't be too crazy. It's because if it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $127 billion. Come on. I don't think this is too much to ask for. If let's say we assume something like Ethereum reaching around $550 billion in market cap back in 2021, years ago, right? We're talking about, again, back in 2021. I don't think $127 billion market cap, give or take, during this board, especially with more institutional investors, arguably, with more enterprise adoption. We take a look at the bullish sentiment surrounding the Bitcoin ETF, not to mention way more crypto owners. Back then in 2021, during the peak of that board, there was roughly around 300 million crypto owners. Currently, we have over 600 million according to Crypto.com research. And here's the crazy thing. We have over 600 million right now. Bitcoin has never seen $150,000 yet. So let's say Bitcoin goes to 150,000, 200,000, maybe 250,000, and let's say 300,000, maybe, right? Could you imagine how many more crypto owners there could be? Now, over 700 million, let's say even nearly 800 million? That wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if we're seeing over 600 million currently. This is just the way to take a look at it. So I think better days are ahead. I don't think this is crazy market cap, but really, it's just a waiting game. Some people like to ask me, why don't you pull up a price chart and draw some random triangles and all this? That's not my style. That's not what I do. It doesn't matter what I draw on a price chart. Let's say the market wants to go a certain way, it's going to do that. It doesn't matter if I draw SpongeBob. It doesn't matter if I draw Mickey Mouse, right? It doesn't matter if I draw, let's say a cartoon on the price chart. It doesn't matter what I draw. It's going to do what it's going to do. So I guess it's cool. It does create a lot of, kind of suspense. Like, oh man, this person drew this triangle, I should say. And then, what's going to happen to the price? But then the market doesn't care what I draw. So instead of that, I'd rather focus on the fundamentals. I'd rather focus on what the project's all about. Usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. The last Bitcoin halving event happened in April of last year. So 18 months from then would actually mean around October this year. History isn't always going to repeat itself. But you know what? With all these bullish factors, I'm going to pay attention to that date because I believe that the bull run is far from over. And I don't think Bitcoin at around $100,000 was really the peak. It just kind of feels like a little bit too low for the bullish factors that we see as of right now. But again, only time will tell, and $3, that is ultimately my hypothetical price target when it comes to HBAR for this bull run. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Mali the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.